Hello, everybody, and this is Segway Sunday number 18, Portals and Gateways. Today we're going to talk about obviously portals and gateways, but we're going to be talking about how we deal with or how portals and gateways affect people and environments, as well as how to deal with them. Now, unfortunately, today we don't have Diane, who is the local expert on how to deal with them and close them. We're going to give you some of our insight on how we deal with them and how we've locked them down and what some of the environmental issues are about leaving these things open, and some of the stuff that we have heard and read about when people have dealt with them, and what some of the misperceptions have been. So once again, thank you to Montana Ranch Emu, our first and only advertiser and backer. Remember, if you need anything for skin healing, moisturizing, even taken internally for heart health, it is the most complete source of omega fatty acids on the planet. Contains omega 3, 5, 6, 7, 9 alpha lipoic and palmitic acid. It healed my son's second-degree burn on his left hand in 9 days completely. Shocked nurses. I showed the pictures to Joel and he was stunned. Let's see. For today, we have Sonia, we have Joel, and we have Aisha. Welcome, everybody, and let's see, you can unmute yourselves.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Sonia,
this is Aisha. Hi.
Okay, so starting with one of the... I can hear myself.
I swear.
Yeah.
Who's got their speaker on? All right.
Not me.
Okay, so going from one of these websites where they're... I can hear myself again.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me mute myself and see what's going on.
All right. So there's a... Oh, it's on Aisha's side.
Nope. I have myself on mute also.
Hold on. Okay, so now I'm talking. Everybody's muted, and I can't hear myself. So... Now, let's see. According to this one website, there's a portal is an energetic gateway. Not exactly. A portal is a portal. A gateway is a gateway. And we're going to start with the differentiation between the two. Now, a portal is an opening between one or more locations. And it usually is a direct step from that spot into the here, or wherever the portal is. At least so far as I've found.
I think that's accurate assessment.
Well, anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think that's I think the way I would like to think of it is a gateway is usually an opening to another location in the same temporal, the same timeline.
Exactly.
So when you're dealing with portals, you're dealing with alternate realities, dimensions, possibilities. So that's where it gets a little bit weird. A good example would be like the pool. That was definitely a portal. Weird.
Right.
It's definitely a portal.
And it wasn't in the pool; it was hovering midway inside the pool. And if the pool had been filled with dirt, part of it would have been below the level of the earth, and part of it above.
Exactly.
And that was one of the first things we'd ever encountered. Now, and according to this website, it says a portal has 2 doors. I don't know as I actually agree with that, because a portal, depending on how many strata it covers, can actually be to more than one space, and we found that because there are ones that actually lead to multiple locations. Only ones that are set up as a static 2-dimensional, one side X, second side Y, do they only go to 2 places. You know, one side is yours, the other side is whatever's on the other side, and that usually means that it's governed by a 2-dimensional representation, sort of like a picture or a mirror or one of the standing columns in, say, Stonehenge. that looks like itself like it's a door. Those usually only govern two sides. Oh, somebody's asking something in YouTube. Okay. Scarcity, we're going to get to that, promise. And that's actually considered a gateway. Could you possibly make a portal in physical world, or is it something metaphysical? The answer is yes to both of those. We will get there, I promise. That's what the difference is between a portal and a gateway. Also, with portals, there's no guarantee that if you go one direction, coming back is possible. So this is one of the things that I will caution everyone on, is if you do find a portal and you know how to step through, please, for the love of God, don't. Unless you have the ability or knowledge or help, you may get stuck on the other side. Think of it as a one-way flowing stream. So just don't monkey with it. Okay? So, Joel? You're too quiet. Joel's on mute. Okay, so I'm going to have to carry the day. All right, so let's see. According to this page, it says if a portal is open at one end but not the other, you cannot travel through the portal completely. Okay, well, if the other end isn't open, it's not a portal, and it'll collapse on itself. So that's a really strange assertion. You couldn't even possibly go into it, because what a portal is literally you step from here to there in one step. It's like walking from one room to the other. If that's like saying if a door is closed, you can't step into the other room, but you can partially get there. No, try walking through a closed door sometime. Outside of the pain factor and looking like a Three Stooges skit, you're not going to get anywhere quick. So that's a very specious statement. I'm not going to share this website with you because I'm getting laughs with it, and I don't want them to get mad at me for giving them negative traffic. But I looked it up just so that I'd have good questions to be able to bombard us with, or great statements to be able to build off of. Sorry, Joel, got anything to add?
No, not really. I was just I'm along for the ride today.
All right, so I'm going to let you field this one. A portal's energy signature. This is very Star Trek. I'm going to let Joel do that one.
Portal's energy signature. What was the... I didn't see the question.
It's not really a question so much as it's a statement. A portal's energy signature on this one page. It says, once you learn what a portal's signature is, you become more able to recognize a portal's signature in all sorts of different places and within a range of objects.
Oh, well, I don't know. I guess I don't even know how to approach that one, because all portals have their own signatures. So, I mean, there might be some similarities, but you'll never find... They're like snowflakes, You'll never find the same one. They're fingerprints, I guess you'd say. I mean, they're... Granted...
I think their point is that within an area of like very broad terms, they're saying that you can guess where they are headed, which I disagree with. But you can generally tell if the signature is good or bad. I mean, that one is far more easy to do because that's like a flip of the coin. But the rest of it is, I don't know, like you were saying.
Well, you would know where a portal is going because whoever established it. I mean, okay, let's not say that. Unless when you make a portal, hopefully you know where it's going. Because to make a portal, you have to know where you want to go. You have to be able to figure out that energy signature, that vibration of that point in reality where you want to be at. So, yeah, and once you get that right, you can make portals. Let's just say in that general area.
Now, in the past, Joel and I, because this is where it comes up, in the past, Joel and I, or I should say I did, and I took Joel along for the ride, my bad, was to go and find that we could spin the dial and go to other realities. And that's the difference between a portal and a gateway. And it's actually easier to create the gateway over yourself because it simply flashes into being and then dissipates instantly, because a gateway takes a ridiculous amount of energy to hold. And we visited other dimensions. Now, why are we not telling you how this is done? Because we found out it's not a good idea. You lose your cohesion on this reality. And I, more than once, went to bed and woke up with another version of myself tapping me on the shoulder going, "What the hell are you doing in my bed?" That's extremely uncool. And that's probably the least dangerous way I could have been approached. You know, because if you see someone who looks like you laying in your bed, your first response is probably not to be so gentle about it. You might be freaked out, call the cops, or pull out a gun and then let the smoke wagon do the talking for you.
Right. Doppelganger, kill it before it could take my place.
Yeah. Stop or I'll shoot. So, yeah, this is the reason why we're not telling you how this is done. But that is the difference between a gateway and a portal. And gateways can be fairly random. You don't even have to know the general area you're going. A gateway is almost like standing in one spot, taking a chain, throwing it out in a particular direction, and the chain turns into a tube, and then you get pulled that way. You don't even have to walk that way. You're just all of a sudden you're on the other end of the gateway, and it closes instantly. And so a gateway itself, if it's maintained, will look like a long tube or hallway or tunnel, and up to humongous sizes. But you don't actually have to walk into it. All you have to do is step over the event horizon, and it's like stepping onto one of those conveyor belts in the Jetsons, and you are moving or have already moved, and you don't even realize, zip, you're there. So, okay, Joel, am I wrong? Did I miss anything?
You're not wrong about that. That's for sure.
I'm never telling how we did it. Sorry.
With the portals, when you guys say you got to pay attention to what you're doing before you step through it. Someone who opens a portal, is there a way they can like stick their head in and look around and see if that's where they actually wanted to go before they go in there? Or will it suck the entire body in?
Depends on your level of strength, and depends on if something on the other side decides to grab a hold of you by the neck and go, "Come here, Junior. We want to have a chat."
It really and it depends on the makeup of the portal. Like if you're adept at making portals, it should remain stable. You should theoretically be able to do it. But usually once you kind of stick a portion through, you just pretty much the rest of you will follow. So,
he liked Smoke Wagon.
He liked Smoke Wagon a lot.
It's from the Wild West. You pull that smoke wagon and let it start barking, Yeah. I didn't want to pull anything from the 80s like GAC or GAT or whatever they want to call it. I don't remember. We'll go back to an even more classic. So now they're saying the telltale signs of a portal. I don't know if I agree with all of these, especially right from the first one. They go, portals are usually invisible. To who? I guess it's to the normal folk. I mean, realistically, most people who can't see ghosts are not going to see portals, right? That one's straight at you, Joel.
Back.
Yeah. And then the next thing they say is they are relatively stable. Not always. I've actually seen ones that one end will jump. Do you remember that one that was over to the west of where the Gravia apartments were when they were working on the 105 freeway? It would literally jump from one spot to the next, and it would be hanging in space or further down, and then it would fall in a set pattern. And it wasn't. There was a Star Trek episode not Star Trek. Voyager episode many years later where that was supposedly happening with the end of a portal that the Ferengi went through, and it kept on popping around the Delta Quadrant, And I remember thinking when I saw that episode, it's like, oh yeah, that's like the one that was down there where they were building the freeway. I don't know if you remember that one. The Ferengi end up in the Delta Quadrant and they pretend like they're gods or something like that.
I don't I don't remember that episode, but I remember what you were talking about.
It was because the original episode was in Star Trek: The Next Generation, and the two Ferengi disappear, and then the next time we hear about them is in Voyager.
You know, I think with that, this is total speculation. Wouldn't that be like a fourth dimensional type of thing going on there?
Yeah. And then they go, but they are particularly elusive to find unless you are sensitive to the energy signatures they create. I don't know. I mean, I guess that's partly correct, right? I mean, we're sensitive to almost anything metaphysical, but it doesn't actually have to be a portal in particular. I think the first time we actually noticed that there were portals in doorways in places.
Yeah.
Closets too. People tend to create them, especially kids, if they're scared, and they don't even realize that their fear is generating them, especially if they're gifted.
Yeah. You know, I think with the whole that's interesting. I think, yeah, there are some people that are more sensitive to feeling portals than others, but just to say, you know, once you learn to become sensitive to vibration and energy, in particular, you will notice different things, and feeling and sensing portals is not that much different. I mean, they're the same thing, from what I noticed.
Yeah.
Like vortexes.
Yeah. Vortexes are interesting because they're like wild spinning portals, but at the same time they're damaging, and it's almost like a ping pong game of portals where the vortex that the Ghost Adventures crew encountered in one of those buildings in Vicksburg, the one that used to be the Moose Lodge, and then they tried to juice it up, and all that happened was it got bigger and then started flinging energy out. It almost seems like like it's a one-way portal that doesn't want anything to come in, and it just is hurling crap out.
So we have a question. Could the people who can't see the portals or sense the energy still enter them?
Yes.
Yes.
For those of you who've seen Poltergeist or possibly the original Twilight Zone episode, Little Girl Lost, those are based on people's stories from the previous century, from the 18th century, and then later got written into stories for TV. There are stories of children accidentally walking through them who didn't realize that they had their energy up, and they went body, soul, everything into it and gone.
Outer Limits had one, like the old black and white Outer Limits. I remember that one because that was like, for the longest time, I thought it was like an episode of Twilight Zone. But when I was growing up, you know, they had Outer Limits and Twilight Zone playing during the weekdays. So during the summertime, I watched a lot of that. And I distinctly remember the girl fell through the portal that was in the corner of the wall behind her bed. We'll get to that pretty soon.
That was Twilight Zone. That was Twilight Zone. That was when they had to move the bed, and he had to figure out the shape of it using Euclidean.
Was that the Twilight Zone? I thought that was Outer Limits.
No, that's the episode is called Little Girl Lost.
Okay, that
was definitely it. And he actually draws with chalk on it to give the correct dimensions of it. And meanwhile, and that's why and they were telling him, hurry, Mitch. And he's calling for the dog because the dog was pulling her by the dress. Yeah, those are possible, but you don't go to a place that looks like it's filled with smoke, mirrors, and funhouse stuff. You basically would go to another reality, another dimension like this one. And we're hearing about it a lot where people go, oh, it's a glitch in the Matrix. I went to this place and it's like, well, why am I back? Well, it's not exactly a glitch in the Matrix. It's what we started calling D-hopping. D as in letter D, dimension hopping. It's easier to say D-hop when you don't want people to know what we're talking about. Okay, question. Are there good reasons for creating gateways? If I'm understanding this correctly, when I was dancing and something gateway portal was created, a thing stepping through, I shut it down immediately. Would there have been a good reason for me to instead maintain the gateway and allow the thing to manifest? Okay.
Can
Well,
I start? Ooh,
go ahead. Go ahead.
Ah! Okay. So, especially because you're talking about dancing and creating a portal. So yeah, some people do dances and stuff to invoke um, commune with the ancestors and things like that. And so there are times when you want to do that, so you can commune with your ancestors, so you can bring forth like those powers, your guides, to help you with something, or even helper spirits. However, when you're doing it, if you don't have that focus of that's what you're trying to do, then it can be a little bit dicey. Sean,
yeah. And he's already heard that from me in another, where understanding that will and intention are important. That you now heard it from Joel, and I did not coach or prompt him on that one. This is an important, absolutely mandatory thing. You've got to remember intention, intent, will, daring. Okay, these are all musts when you're employing that thing. If you give all that up, negative things can come through. The whole point of being able to portal or gateway something into this universe is to hopefully bring an ally. Now, I was lucky. I didn't have to bring any allies. I already had some. It's a familial thing, like Aisha with her hearth spirit, Jemima. I had 4 elementals who were waiting for me to recognize they were here. Normally speaking, a thaumaturgist will invoke, draw to this plane and enslave 4 elemental advisors. I don't enslave anything. The whole idea of making something my slave ticks me off. Also, in other forms of what we do, like in the case of Santeria and voodoo and hoodoo, they will use the dance in order to call to the spirits, to the Loa, for guidance, and will call them to their presence in order to get advice or blessings or protection or healing. And so those are reasons for that kind of thing. And those portals are generally temporary and they're bi-directional.
So, Duck Sauce, to help you with that, if you are trying to get in touch with your ancestors, you want to make sure that when you're doing these things, you have symbols around to remind you to focus your will on what your intent is. It's almost like that way, because in the heat of the moment, especially if you're doing it through dance or something like that, you want to have that image there. And that's another reason why we practice meditation. That way you can focus not only on centering yourself or on the void, but you can focus on one thing and keep your will locked on that one thing that you're meditating on. D.
Hi, Diane. Now, Scarcity asks, have any of you successfully gone through a portal in physical form before? No, a portal usually is going to be a metaphysical thing. On the other hand, a gateway is both metaphysical, physical, and temporal. And Joel and I have gone through those when we were kids, as I said before, to other dimensions, which is physically you are there. We are literally not here in this sense. We are on this plane, but we are not in this reality. And that's the reason why we stopped doing it, because we started losing cohesion with this dimensional resonance. That's why I said I woke up one morning in another version of me's bed, and I was worried about the guy pulling out a smoke wagon and letting it do the talking.
Right. I definitely not something. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Definitely not something you want to do on a regular basis. I have also had this alternative reality where I think I was doing it in my dreams, not intentionally. But I know what you mean. And then you're in a different reality. It's like, whoops. So I have experienced that. Portals, on the other hand, I haven't really. I've been through them on the etheric level, but not on the physical level because once again, that's a little different thing. Um, Although I hear that there are some ancient portal systems that exist that if you go through them, they can very easily make you crazy because the ride is a kind of a rough ride. It's like a wormhole ride. So I've heard of that. And I wouldn't recommend one of the ancient portal rides because people come out kind of crazy after that. So
Okay, so on this website, they also say the first look. Okay, with the potential of portals in so many places, how can you start to learn more about them? And they then go on to say, I determine the likely location of portals by what creates a stable location for them to be established. Which I don't know. It's kind of weird. Most of the time, I think in our line of work, we just spend time closing them, and
right.
we're opening them for a temporary effect. Or in the case of Diane,
Right.
where there was one that was in the corner of her, it was the one that the things were coming through. See, here's
Diana.
no, for you, Diane. Remember the one in the
Oh,
corner of
me?
your room I had to stitch shut so
No.
that it was the one where they first were coming through in the corner of the your friend was telling you about was actually in the corner. It was a portal in the corner, and we put the barrier over it so they
Oh,
couldn't
you
come
were
through.
talking about, that's what you're talking about, tacking down the corners.
Yeah, so it couldn't open it up
Okay.
anymore. That wasn't exactly a portal. See, okay, got to go back up.
Yeah, that wasn't quite the same as a portal. Yeah, I wasn't thinking of that as a portal. I was thinking, yeah.
It's like stepping from one reality into the next because it's a demonic thing. It's stepping
Yeah.
through realities by condensing. Oh shit, this is gonna sound stupid. I'm sorry, I said the S word. It okay.
I think most of us can handle it.
Okay, well,
The
the
which
audience.
word? Wait.
That's it. You're out. You're out.
I'm going
the
into
hook.
mute. I'm sorry. I'm going back into my little corner.
A demon comes through by actually making itself less than it was originally. And that requires passing through where two walls come together. Because once you become experienced and you look at them for a while, you can actually see how they step through as actually it's a broad doorway. It literally inverts itself and grows, and it becomes something different once you're able to see past the three-dimensional limitations of our universe. And once one of them is stepped through that spot, like a corner of the room, it leaves it scarred because they've punched through and left some of themselves in that corner. And that's why I had to tack down the corner so that it couldn't come through by changing the dimensions in the room.
Right.
Wow, I am horrible at this because it's not even exactly a portal. It goes beyond portaling. It goes to condensing themselves into something lesser, which is why when they're here, they're a lot weaker than when you encounter them there, which is why you always want to have the home court advantage, I guess.
Right.
I guess that's the best way to put it, right?
Right.
So not strictly a portal, but still how they come in, and for real demons, it's a way.
It is a way in and out. Yeah. So yeah, I do understand it in that regard then, because you had me confused for a minute there.
I know it's not exactly it's so hard. And a lady that we were helping. Do you remember that lady, Joel?
I love it when you start stuttering about these.
I can't. It's because it's so hard to explain this thing. Okay, what's your name? Pualani. Remember her daughter had a corner of her room that had already been punched through as well, and I said, "There, it's punched through there," and it literally leaves a glowing black mass of yetch in the
Goo.
corner. And you can see, well, at least I can. I can't say you can, but I know Joel would be able to sense it. I definitely could see it. I'm pretty sure, Diane, you'd be able to see it, or at the very least feel it.
I could feel it more at that point. I was feeling it.
But in this lady Poolani's house, her daughter was dealing with it, and she didn't want to face the reality that something kept coming in, and because it was because of what it was, it would send its energy, since it didn't want to fully manifest, into her closet and make a little boy appear that wasn't even there. It wasn't even a ghost. It was just like, hey, we're going to torture this kid. What's the thing she fears the most? A kid kneeling on a kid on its knees underneath the clothing, looking up at her with dark eyes and freaking her out whenever she opened the closet door. And she's like, well, how can you sense that? It's like experience, and the fact that I can taste what's going on and see it. It manifests itself. This is the unfortunate part of my gifts, which is why we don't make Sean have to look at pictures one after another.
We have
without warnings.
Sean has all the fun.
Oh God.
Yeah. Oh, okay. If you could call that fun.
Oh, Joel, you know, if she hadn't said it, you'd have said it.
Probably. From what I know of Joel. You know you would, bro.
I definitely would have. We haven't heard from Sonia yet, which.
And Sonia, actually, I helped her close a portal once. But I got to tell everybody this. I have no skill in closing or opening portals. So for anybody who asks, like, have you the gateway that we used to do when we were kids? That was it. But closing and opening portals is not my bag.
That's mine.
Diane's bag.
That's my bag.
And I was able to get Sonia to close one because I knew how it was done, but it's not. It's do what Austin Powers. It's not my bag, baby. No, I can't do it.
Somehow I can, although I can't even tell you how I can. I don't even know exactly.
So Sonia, tell everybody about the portal in your house.
Sonia, speak. Speakest thou, Sonia?
She's on mute.
Unmute yourself.
Can I ask a question?
Far away.
Okay. A lot of these people who are reading these, what they call it, glitch in the matrix story, they have a lot of people stating that sometimes they'll go take a walk somewhere, drive somewhere, and then all of a sudden they're in a place that, you know, they didn't even know that exists, or it's something from the old days or something. And then later on, when they go and look for that place again, they can't find it. What is that? Is that a portal, gateway, or what has happened to them? You know,
they've actually gone to another. They've passed through a gateway. It's easy to say that something's a portal and everything's a portal, but it's not. A gateway is a means of actually physically moving yourself from X to Y. A portal is a metaphysical access, and usually can be put in physical surfaces like mirrors or doorways or walls or that kind of thing. But a gate is transdimensional, physical and transdimensional, as well as transtemporal. If that big MF above Spirit Lake in Idaho was anything to measure, that thing was something.
Well, we're running into nomenclature problems because there are people who call the wormhole portals, or you would call it a gate then, because it is a physical thing. Then I hear that the newer ones don't give you that effect, but the old ones definitely give you the wormhole effect. So, but that is the physical portal system. That's not the metaphysical portal system. The metaphysical portal system, thank goodness, does not operate that way.
Yeah, and the reason why I'm using the separation between the two, between portal and gateway, is because in Dungeons and Dragons, since we all agreed we were going to go with that, a gate.
Okay.
Or they call it a gateway. So we're just going to call it gating.
I had forgotten that, actually. Thank you for reminding me.
So I'm going to leave that. We're going to keep using that definition system up there because it's so much simpler for us to refer to.
And if you want to troll agate. Maybe you need an agate, an agate.
Uh,
That is what my
Another
friend
another
Ken told me.
another question about that same thing. I've heard someone actually read one of those Glitcher Matrix stories where when they step through, the people on the other side turned around and just looked at them as if they knew what was going on, but the person who was there didn't know what was going on. How is it that the people on the other side know that these people who just stepped over there is not really supposed to be there?
Joel, did you want to field this one?
I could tell you.
Go ahead. You go first.
I could tell you one reason is because there are some people that are a little bit ahead of us in this kind of thing, and they know that a portal is or a gate is there, and they know that people come through it from time to time. There are places where they actually know this. I've heard stories about this before, where they'll actually have a conversation with you about it.
Yeah,
So not
and I'm pretty
everybody's
sure
as
that's exactly what
backwards
Joel
as
and I
us.
were going to say, because that's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, I was gonna say that there's some people that are. So when you're dealing with people like D or I, who are, I guess you could say, shamanic in nature, um, we understand that these things exist. We understand that at any given time, there is a reality that is near us and that there's coexisting like at the same time and place. So when that kind of thing happens, like I'm not necessarily shocked at times. I mean, there are times when it's shocking, but if I happen to see somebody from through a portal and they acknowledge me, yeah, I'll acknowledge them and I might speak to them. You know, you can know that there's something there, and in different dimensional realities, these things are known. These things are taught. Um,
Yeah, there are places where they're not as backwards as here.
yeah,
This is pretty bad. We've been so hornswoggled. We have had the wool pulled over our eyes. We have just been, knocked in the head and gotten amnesia. And actually, I think that is really what happened. Is when a cataclysm. And actually, I've heard this story. Cataclysm happened. It kind of knocked us flat. And that's when the ones came, a parasite motto is kick a guy when they're down because, when they get back up, they might be able to kick your butt.
yeah.
So,
And in a different reality timeline, um, our society is being taught spiritual things and energy work in the old ways, along with modern technology. So it wouldn't. I mean, that's not a far fetched idea, and that's a easily one that you can see happening. And those people, that's they're probably being taught quantum physics and realities at a young age, so they're more apt and more readily able to use that.
Okay, so we got a question. Is there a defining line between mental illness and ESP? It seems very blurry to me. How does one know the difference? Well, the first question, the answer is yes. There is a defining line. However, there's also some people who are mentally ill and they do have ESP as well. And so sometimes it can seem like one goes hand in glove with the other.
Our culture is one of those few cultures that don't teach those people with how to integrate their imbalance into Western reality. We are into their normal day reality. I think I was reading 6 years ago. I wish I could remember the article. Somebody has sent me one where there was shamans in this one culture was taking people with mental illness and was teaching them how to be able to cope with what they were dealing with. And normal day society. A lot of people, there are some people that believe that some of that stuff is not only is this imbalance of brain alchemy, but they have to know how to be able to integrate what's going on with what's happening in what we call the real world, and be able to coexist with both.
That's almost exactly what I would say. That's my observation too, is to put it really succinctly, they cannot understand what they are seeing. They are really seeing. Most of them that I can tell, they really actually have a gift that is being obscured or kind of, well, now Joel would know about this. If you are told that you're crazy instead of psychic all the time, and you try to like cast it away from you, your own power, what happens, Joel? Go for it. Tell them.
You fracture yourself, you fracture your soul, and it's can lead into depression and the other myriad of not fun stuff.
Well, I want to answer this next question. This is the difference is training. Well, not really. Here, let me give you an explanation, a good idea of here's the difference. Now, if you're dealing with a person who's mentally ill, and we're talking truly mentally ill, and they don't have have any gifts, okay, they're going to be dealing with things that very few people or only they can see. They're going to be dealing with very few that only they can see them, that only they can interact with them, or very few people they know of can interact with them as persons who are gifted. And if you are mentally ill and you have someone who's gifted like myself, who's nearby, and they're starting to talk or interact with a thing, and I turn and look and I use all my different gifts to try and see, because I've done this, to try and see what it is they're talking at. There's nothing going to be there. It's only going to be in their head. And that's how we're going to know that they are mentally ill.
That is true also.
That's the next step. The next part is that because we know how to deal with the things that we or very few people can see, we can convey that experience to the mentally ill person on how to deal with it. Because though the source is different, the experience on how to control yourself is very similar, if that helps. So training makes a difference, but training doesn't make a mentally ill person psychic.
No.
If that helps.
It does not. I agree. Well, there's another part to this too, though. Some things, we're getting a little bit into these conspiracy theory, but there is a thing called voice to skull technology, and there because not everything is what hallucination that you see. Some things are hearing or things you feel, and there are actually technological ways to affect a person that have been tested and found to work. So somebody can actually broadcast stuff to you, and I'm not entirely sure that that isn't some of the cases we're dealing with too. Or somebody is broadcasting something and they're just randomly picking it up for whatever reason.
Okay, so going back
but it's not physical for the, it's not real, but for them, it's really not, it is to them.
Okay, so going back to the portals gateways original. Okay, some of the examples this page gives is here are some examples I know of portals. You may be surprised by some of the things in this list. People can be portals. I don't know if I agree with that. The planet Earth is a portal. Also, I've never contemplated that. The Bermuda Triangle is a portal. I've actually seen it, so I would definitely agree with that. There is a portal within the central of the 5 horseshoe-shaped trilithon stones in the inner circle of the prehistoric henge monument called Stonehenge in Wiltshire, England. Wiltshire, England? What? It's on the Salisbury Plain of Val de Gogh-Ventoux. What the? Somebody's putting their information down wrong. There is a portal in the center of the road in the high street of Glastonbury in Somerset, UK. Oh, whoa! Got to look that one up. That's going to be neat. And foundations under houses that are built in alignment to natural energy flows can become portals. Still water is a perfect space for a portal to be manifested. I actually agree that
absolutely.
That's one of the ways that we in thaumaturgy we're supposed to extend our senses. Transparent crystals, which are shaped into curves, cabicons, are apparently portals. And portals can be hidden in everyday objects like books or watches, brooches, necklaces, mirrors. Oh, definitely mirrors. Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, mirrors, yeah.
And photographs. And photographs,
Oh,
I could that's how we see to get around. So I definitely would agree with that to a degree. So any comments on any of the above, folks?
Absolutely.
So
go ahead.
So those the times that people have actually done the glitch in the matrix thing, and that means that it's like a portal or gateway that has been set up before them that they knew nothing about. When it's there, does that mean someone else who knows how to do that actually put that there before they got there, just to see someone go through that gateway?
It could be, but on the other hand, there are things like that open on the Earth. It's what they call the X points due to the magnetosphere interaction with the sun.
Yeah,
and they open and close naturally.
I was just about to say that there are naturally occurring portals and gateways.
Yeah, that's one of the first ones that you and I encountered. We accidentally went through it.
Yeah, and it's. I think did your list? I'm sorry, I was Melody was leaving. I was talking to her. Did you mention where ley lines intersects?
They didn't mention that on here. I'm just reading off the list.
It's safe,
we'll
like
get to that.
Yeah. Sacred mountains,
sometimes called a vortex.
Yeah, sacred mountains, ley line junctures, and stuff like that. Those are places that you can usually find portals and gateway. Duck Sauce used to talk about dancing and stuff and open a portal. That's why there was like sacred places where natives, where Aboriginal tribes would go to perform these different things because they were in tune with that. And so they knew that these places had gateways or where you can open up gateway or portals to get to some of those things. So there's, it's just, some are just naturally occurring.
Have you ever seen or heard of someone who actually come from the other side and come over here and not knowing what they're doing and not knowing that they've actually stepped into our realm, that's actually shocked about it, like we are when we step into their realm?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Would you, if you saw somebody like that, would you help them and let them know, look, you just in the wrong place and you're not supposed to be here? And
I'll just watch and just laugh and laugh and laugh. Of course I would. What do you think I am?
It's actually a lot. Where I can't do anything with portals, if getting someone back to their original their original start point in a dimensional travel is not that difficult. Joel and I learned that the way that to do it was actually to cause our dimensional vibration. To think of it like taking a like a guitar string and then strumming it harder and harder and harder and harder until eventually it draws you back to your original dimensional reality. And all that takes is just touching the person and making that tone continue until it pulls them away. And that's all we would do. I think I did that for a version of Joel that came into my house. And I'm like, oh, I thought you were. So Joel's like, he comes over. I said, I thought you were sick with a cold. He's like, no, man, I'm perfectly okay. I'm like, wait right there. And I called Joel, like, Joel, are you there? He's like, yeah, I got a cold. I'm like, yeah, and another version of you doesn't. I'll see you tomorrow, man, or in a couple of days. Like, what's this? I'm like, I'm busy. I hung up. It's like, I've got to get you home right now. And so I ended up, and my mom even asked the same thing. So, was that Joel? I thought he was homesick. It's like, no, yes, mostly no, and had to get rid of him real quick. And So he was. I said, "You're here to visit another Sean." So I think we got to stop messing around with this thing. I touched the back of his neck, and whoosh, he was gone. It's fairly simple.
Good for you.
But that's not even difficult for me. But the portaling thing, that's right out there with it's not in my bailiwick. Now this page said, according to this, says are portals something to fear? I'm going to ask you: are portals something to fear?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I would say fear is not your friend. I keep hearing that from the divine parents that, I speak for them, that they keep saying fear is not your friend. So it's not like it is something to fear. It's something to have a certain amount of respect for, and
like
you don't want to. Yeah, you want to have respect.
A lot of respect for it.
Yeah, it's like it can have very strange results in your life if you don't have respect for it. It's like anything else that is like a car, driving a car. I mean, you got to have a certain amount of caution for it, but that doesn't mean be afraid of it. I mean, people use them all the time. It happens all the time. It's a natural thing. In many cases, not in all cases, but some of us like me just, we can just open them when we need to, and like Sean and.
No, that's not like me. No, I actually have to ask Ariel to do it for me.
Oh, okay.
Remember when we were fighting
that's
that kobold
right,
thing,
bro. Okay, I got
you. When I swept up for the kobold,
out that Sean is Aramid's brother. Replacement.
We haven't got to that subject. That's a
replacement, brother. Well, that'll have to be another. That's
a whole nother show. We can't even deal with that. We can't even deal with that. Oh, that was great.
And I'm your sister that opens portals in this life.
Oh, God bless it.
So it says, are they a haven for entities move into and through? And I'd have to say, yeah. With some of these portals, especially the ones that are created by other things, for the most part, Joel and I in the beginning encountered ones that were naturally occurring and naturally mobile. But the very first one we encountered was crafted as a way of being able to try and counter negativity in an area and make sure that they could watch over what was going on in a zone. But just like you can have beneficial ones, there are negative ones out there that things open in order to be able to come through and feed. And we've dealt with those too often. So those are the ones we usually get called in on. And it's easy to say that those are the more common one, since that's when, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. The negative stuff is what gets us the most attention.
Yeah, I wouldn't say. Right. I would definitely not say that the negative ones are the ones that are more
common. No,
and that's we don't know. Because that's just because when you when there's a portal or a vortex, when there's good that has a certain beneficial vibration, it's like I said, those are going to be your sacred places, or places that people gather just because they're places of possibly extreme inspiration due to their beauty and things like that, because that area is benefiting from those things coming in and out and through, because that's what they do. They help benefit the area where they're coming through. And so we don't hear them as portals. We just hear them as sacred places.
Sacred places. Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Can I get another question in? I think we got 5 more minutes left here. Yeah. Have you guys heard of those stories about the stairs in the woods? What would that be? A portal or a dimension or whatever it is that the people who actually go up those stairs and disappear like that? Gateways? Is that what that is?
Those are gateways.
Yeah.
Those are physical. Yeah. Those are gateways.
Because I've only I've only heard one story on there where one person say they actually was able to tell us what they saw on the other side, that they went through it, and it was winter when they went there, and the person who they actually landed on someone else's property, and the person come after them with a gun, and they ran back through, and came back through the stairs. That was the only one that I've ever heard of someone saying that they went through there and come back through. The other ones who actually did it, even after the government told them do not go up those stairs, they just disappeared and didn't make it back at all.
So now that comes back to are portals easy to clear? This is a very interesting question, because I'm going to leave this up to Diane. Are they easy to clear?
It depends on who you are and if you know how, I suppose.
Well, according to this, clearing a portal is a matter of, like, if there's a negative entity in it. Now, I have no skill with portals, but clearing a negative entity is clearing a negative entity is clearing a negative entity. That's absolutely that's regardless of if it's a portal or a gateway.
Well, it's like that evil umbilical that we had to get rid of that before we could close that portal.
Right, and that was I've got no skill with portals. All I did was grab a hold of that disgusting hose and pull it through, like yanking a cyst. It was almost like yanking a cyst out of the Dr. Pimple Popper, and she gets the thing and then he pulls it out. It's like, oh god, it was gross around the bottom, type of thing. But you don't have to be skilled with the portal to do that. And then comes the other question: is, are portals easy to close? Once again, Diane.
Well, once again, that depends on who you are and if you know how. But I suppose because some people have absolutely don't seem to have much of an ability to do that, even when I tell them what to do. For me, it's not generally that hard unless something is stuck in it, like I was just mentioning. Usually, for me, it's easy.
Now, according to this, it says closing portals is an art. Now, this is going to be stroking Diane's ego because this is true. Closing portals is an art, and it's not easy to do unless you really understand how energy works. My advice is don't let anything through if you aren't able to send it back again. And this one's directly at Duck Sauce, because this person who has rudimentary information on it is saying the same thing as we're saying. Cautionary statement.
Absolutely.
Don't open a gateway unless you are sure you can close it down properly again afterwards. If you think you have an open portal, find a rescue worker. Hello, we're right here. That can help you close it down effectively. Find someone that understands portals, Diane, so you can be sure that they know what they are doing.
Yeah, please do not let that sucker hang open. Do you know what? I've run into people who have intentionally let these suckers hang open, and it ain't good, really. I mean, okay, I understand there are some sacred places and they know where the portals go or the gates or the whatever. Okay, that's one thing. But some people just open portals because they read the spell in a book somewhere or something, and they don't even know that they really actually opened it. And then they just leave it hanging because they didn't know anything really happened. And then you end up with the problem in that area, you see? And then I have to come along, somebody like me has to come along and clean up the mess. But, that's just warning you. I have even seen people do this. They're saying they're professionals. They're leaving it hang open. Oh, I hope you're ready. Okay? I hope you know where it goes. I hope you're really sure.
Wouldn't that be job security?
Yeah, we don't operate that way. Okay, so I'm gonna give my final thoughts, and we're gonna close the show down. Now, the most fantastic gate that I ever passed through was in April of, I think, about 14 years ago. I was in Pennsylvania in Punxsutawney, yes, where Punxsutawney Phil is from. And yes, it was snowing, and Punxsutawney Phil said it would be in early spring that year, ha ha. And so I heard something call me from the forest, don't go. And so I decided to enter the forest and see why it was telling me don't go. And I ended up in walking for an hour north through the forest, the oak forests, north of Punxsutawney, right next to, by the way, the farm where Punxsutawney Phil is kept. And I ended up in Sleepy Hollow, New York.
Oh my gosh.
And I realized where I was when I saw the sign.
That's
4-letter
pretty
words
creepy.
came out of my mouth, and I turned around and ran back as fast as I could so that I
Mystical
would
4-letter word of power.
and ran back as fast as I could so that I could get back to where I was. And fortunately, the gate hadn't closed yet, and I was able to get to my car and come home. So this cautionary tale, folks, even people who are experienced may not actually see the gates and portals that can affect us. Sometimes you become the center of the effect. Sometimes the gateway lands on you. Sometimes you go through it and it looks like a set of stairs. The point is, be aware of your surroundings. Please be careful. And if you get stuck, make sure that you know who the experts are that you can contact. Until next time we meet, stay blessed, everyone.
Hey,
Yes.
are we still on?
We're still on.
Did you see Scarcity had one about asking about the Ouija board as a way of opening a portal? You want to address that real fast?
Real quick, yes, it is a kind of a way to open a portal, which is why we tell people not to mess with them. There are certain divining tools that are like opening portals, and there are some that are like opening gates. Messing with mirrors, messing with Ouija boards, they're not ideal. Cards, pendulums, things that don't tend to open up spaces between spaces are the safest ways to go. And
Mention inviting.
Yeah.
Inviting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You know, because when you're using a Ouija board, when you're using a mirror, when you're using something like that, you're inviting. Once you invite,
yeah, getting rid of something, it's hard to disinvite. The rules of hospitality apply once you've brought something in, and they're not always in your favor. Okay, so until next time we meet, stay blessed, folks, and see you next weekend.